Hi guys, it's Sophie. So I thought I would share with you guys some books I'm excited for 2019, and most of the pile I have here personally are ones that are already out, which is great, so those ones have come out in January, and then I'm going to go through a few kind of highlights of the ones that are due to come out later this year as well. So the first one that I have is one that I was sent for review, and that is Golden Child by Claire Adam. This is a story about a missing boy in Trinidad and his family. Now I know that this is part of the Jessica Parker, is that what she's called, reading list in the US, but I didn't get on with the first one of those that was put out, but I'm excited for this one. I've held off on this one for a little bit and was going to read it, you know, close to release date. This comes out on the 17th, so it's really soon to be here, so I'm going to try and focus on some of these ones that are either have just come out or about to just come out, so that is Golden Child. The next one I have has been floating around a lot, and I requested this one for review by Atlantic Books, and that is My Sister the Serial Killer by Oyinkan Braithwaite. And this is a story about a woman whose sister kills people, and she knows her sister kills people, and she's just killed her third person, and she's kind of saying to her, like, this does make you a serial killer, you realise this. And the family kind of clear up for her crimes. This has been around a lot, but I haven't heard a lot of reviews of it yet. I'm really curious, and the cover's absolutely fantastic, so I'm hoping that this ticks some boxes for me. The next one I have came out in late 2018, but I still wanted to mention it here, and that is Women Talking by Mariam, Toews, and I don't think this one's out in the States yet, so this kind of classes for me as pre-release. And in this one, between 2005 and 2009, over 100 Mennonite women were repeatedly raped by what the community said were ghosts. It was written off as superstition and like women's kind of imagination gone wild, and it was a true story, and this is a novel which kind of imagines that story and imagines those women's voices. This is one that I got Acacia for Christmas, and she says she's loved, so yeah, I'm excited to read this one too. The next one feels very timely, and this one has just come out, I think either yesterday or the day before, and that is The Wall by John Lanchester. And this imagines a UK which has built a border wall around all of its sides and is defending itself from the inside, so very similar to what we're kind of hearing about Trump and have been for a while. And it imagines that scenario and that way of living in which people are viewing themselves as defenders and everyone else as the others. So I'm excited to see this kind of slightly sci-fi rendering of what's happening but set in Britain. So yeah, just come out, so if you are interested in this one you can go pick it up in bookshops now. So those are my picks for January, and moving forward into February there's one that is on the way to me for review but I haven't got it yet, which is I think it's Black Leopard Red Wolf, yeah, Black Leopard Red Wolf by Marlon James. And this is the beginning of a fantasy trilogy that's set in Africa. Now, fantasy normally isn't my thing, Africa normally isn't my thing, I don't read a lot of African books as we spoke about when I did my stats. So this is going to be really interesting, but I have asked for it for review and want to read it because of the author and because of kind of the respect I have with that author, and I think it's really good for me to branch out and try some other things. It's also one that Tom, who reads a lot of fantasy, is interested in reading after me, so hopefully I'll have that one soon and get to read that one soon. And then this one, Adele by Leila, Slimani, is one that I've already read, and this one is the new book from the person who wrote Lullaby or The Perfect Nanny. This one I really enjoyed. It's about a woman who is a sex addict and her life as a sex addict. It's really interesting because it speaks about women and sexuality and their addictions, and we don't normally hear about that. So if you did enjoy Lullaby or Perfect Nanny, do keep your eyes out in February for this one. The next one that I have for review, which I'm really excited for, is Mouthful of Birds by Samantha Schewblin, and I read Fever Dream by her and I loved it last year, and this is a series of short stories from her. She's Argentinian, but her writing's kind of compared to like Kafka and the Grimm brothers, so kind of creepy, and I really like creepy South American stuff, and I loved her last book, so this is probably one of the ones I'm most excited for, and look how pretty the cover is. There's also a non-fiction book coming out in February that I'm really excited for, which is called Engines of Privilege, Britain's Private School Problem, and that is by David Kynaston and Francis Green. And this is a book talking all about public schools in England and kind of with the argument that they shouldn't really exist at all, and that is across the whole range of different kinds of public schools that there are, or private schools, whichever you want to call them, private schools that there are, fee-paying schools, and how their existence by nature results in income equality and differing standards of education for people who pay and can't, and how that entrenches class in the UK. So I'm really interested to read that one, but I haven't yet heard back from the publisher, so maybe that's what I'll buy when it comes around to February. Another one in February that I'm really excited for is called A Mouthful of Blood, and that's by Toni Morrison, and it's collecting together, it says, 4 decades worth of essays about race and about gender and globalisation. So I've read a couple of Toni Morrison's fictional things, but I've not gone for the essay side, and I normally do really like essays, so I'm gonna again keep my eye out for that one in February. And then two more in March, and then that's all I'm going through so far. I will refresh and recap and go forward when we get closer to March. But the first of those 2 is the Lost Children Archive, and that is by, just look at her name, Valeria Luiselli, and she was the author who wrote A Story of My Teeth, which I haven't read but I've heard really good things about, so I should read that one at some stage. But this is about 2 entwining stories, one in which a couple from America lose one of their children and their search for their children, and on the other side it's about children who are crossing the border into the United States from Mexico, and those 2 stories come together and weave in some way, but I would be really interested to get that one when it does come out for publication. And the last one I have is one that I'm like tentatively excited for, and it's because it's by Siri Hurstvedt, who I had some issues reading her non-fiction. I just found it really dense. I have it because I read more than half of it downstairs, so I didn't like give it up on it and DNF it, but I put it to one side. But this is a novel and it's called Memories of the Future. And it's described as having a new person coming into New York for the first time, so they haven't ever lived in New York, coming in and kind of having this year of like kind of just having sex with abandon and living kind of very much in the moment and hating her neighbours. And then we look back from 40 years on at an older woman reading these diaries that she wrote when she was in her early 20s and in New York, and she kind of starts to think about how their lives are different and what kind of different worlds they've lived in. The story sounds fantastic. I did really like what Siri Hurstvedt was doing in the non-fiction, but it was so dense and so many ideas, especially about art, were woven in, and I know very little about art, so I found it hard to pull along with. But I've heard her novels are brilliant, so I'm really looking forward to that one as well. So hopefully that gives you some idea of some exciting things that are coming up in the next few months. I'm really excited for them, and I'm going to keep kind of my eye on what's coming up soon. I'm going to try and read books as I get them as much as I can, so I can talk about them on my channel when they're kind of relevant, and I don't have such a big TBR anymore, so hopefully I'm able to do that. Yeah, let me know in the comments down below what books you're excited for that are coming out sort of in the next few months or early 2019, and I'll see you guys again soon in the comments. Bye! Thank you.